hope you're doing well. I'm sorry for all the background noise. I just finished doing household items. I'm sorry this is late, but I went Friday morning from like let's say 9 a.m. until 12, so I just had time. I'm so sorry. My first visit campus was UC High. I started off with stats class. It was a very big campus, so when I entered, I got really lost. I couldn't really find the main office until one of the kids was like, "Oh, the main office over there." So I went there. Um, I walked in and like my first assumption was like, oh, this classroom is very quiet. I didn't check what grade it was, so I was like, maybe seniors, that senioritis towards the end of the year. And I was right. It's a stats class for seniors slash juniors. It was regular stats. I went around because they were reviewing. I guess the sub went off on like a little adventure. I think they were planting trees or something like that. And I went around and I started asking, just like, "Oh, how do you guys feel about stats so far?" I have my little list because I take notes as I'm going around, and usually the seniors was like, the the seniors were just like, "Oh, it's easy. I took this because I need to fulfill my math requirement," and the juniors were like, "Well, I'm too advanced and I'm too scared to take AP Calculus." I feel like with a lot of the juniors, it was a lot of fear to go into higher level math because of how competitive AP classes can be. Um, so there was mostly seniors in this class, and the seniors were handling it well, I guess, because it would be like their fourth year of math at that point, and a lot of the juniors were were just those kids in the corner. They don't quite want to talk, and I understood it. There's also a lot of cliques, and I also realized that there was a lot of mutual respect within the students and the teacher. So I noticed the teacher was totally fine with them with having their phones out, having headphones on, and I noticed that the kids, although having their phones out, they still had mutual respect for the teacher. They were taking notes, they were continuing. I copied down this little problem right here. I didn't understand what it meant because I haven't taken stats in quite a while, but it is okay. Um, let's see. They did an interactive sheet. So the interactive sheet was like once you get an answer here, you'll go back and fulfill it. Then I had a little talk with the teacher and a student at the end, and I was asking kind of just like, what would your advice be to someone that wants to go into teaching? And the teacher quite, and it was such a lovely response because it was just like, well, if you want to teach, you have to be passionate about what you're teaching. You're going to have to be patient and you're going to have to be loving towards your students. And she said this before she knew I had a daughter. She said, well, it's a lot easier if you have kids before you go into teaching because you'll understand what it truly means to like take care of someone else. And that's when I was like, oh, I actually have a daughter, and it was quite lovely. And then I asked like one of the students that were like left behind after the bell, I'm just like, what would you say someone that's entering the teaching field? She's like, I want you to truly care about students. And I was like, oh, why? And she like kind of gave me this anecdote about how her AP psychology teacher kind of just did not care about her class. This being an advanced placement class where a lot of students kind of get that before that little step inside the door before they actually go off to college and decide what they want to major in. She was just like, she just doesn't care. It's a lot of worksheets, and I don't feel quite comfortable with my AP exam next week. It's kind of heartbreaking, but I feel like us as Gen Z, as we're coming into the teaching industry, we have a lot of changes to do. Then I transferred into a chemistry classroom. A lot of energy, a lot of talking, and I was like maybe freshmen, sophomores. It was sophomores, and it was quite odd. Like there was no mutual respect within the teacher and the students, and I was just confused, like what was going on. Oh, I totally get it. It's like towards the end of the school year, and the students are a lot more rowdy, and it's like the period before lunch. They were working on acid and bases, and I noticed that this teacher had kind of like the essential question of like what they're working on. The EQ is what we used to call it in high school, right in the classroom. And every single time they would like refraining as to what they're doing, they'll go back as to like this is the EQ, this is what we're solving today, which is quite nice because the students have like a constant reminder of like what they're working with. Um, sorry, and what kind of gave me like was quite upsetting was that there's a fight that broke out at the end of class, like when it's like 2 3 minutes before, and the teacher just seemed so upset, so over it, just done with it. She came to me and talked to me after, and she said, I'm so sorry, this is not how they usually act. And her response was like, this is kind of like the post-COVID syndrome. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she explained to me that the post COVID syndrome was like they don't know how to interact with one each other, nor know any type of mutual respect within teachers and students themselves. But I didn't quite understand that because I had just came from a senior class. So maybe as they grow older, they'll understand like this is not appropriate behavior, or maybe just the different levels of students are within the classroom. I don't know. But that's what I had at UC High this Friday. Thank you.